Wednesday, April 15th, 4:30, we'll call the council our meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Ron?
Here.
Randy?
Here.
Brad?
Here.
Zach?
Here. Okay, first thing on the agenda, any public comments? No public comments, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. And then also on the agenda, consent agenda, we have those additional claims that are in front of you. So,
I'll move. Support.
roll call, please.
Zach?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Randy?
Aye.
Okay, no new business, or no old business, new business. Number 3 on consider application of tax increment financing. I'll give that over to Scott.
Yeah, we received an application for tax increment financing from Ag Partners LLC. Dan Van Gorp, manager of the local Ag Partners, is here with us today. So if you have any specific questions, he'll help you answer that as well. This does come as a recommendation from the SCDC Executive Committee, and I'll give you just some of the highlights of the project. They're anticipating a total project improvement of approximately $7.2 million with the new minimum assessed value improvements of $1.5 million. This would generate approximately $45,900 in taxes per year, also potentially adding up to 10 new jobs over the next 2 years. What they are requesting is a 5-year sliding scale tax rebate. The rebate estimate based on the minimum assessment would be approximately $103,275. So this does come as a recommendation from the SCD Executive Committee. And a couple things I would mention. This, of course, would be contingent upon them signing a contract for development and minimum assessment agreement with the City of Sheldon. So any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion we approve and express our thanks to the organization.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay. Brad?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Randy?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Okay, number 4 on the agenda, presentation.
Thank you,
What was that?
I said thank you,
Oh,
Dan.
okay. Thank you, Dan. Also, nice to see that project getting started. Number 4 is a presentation by Kiana Johnson, O'Brien County Economic Development. Kiana, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thanks for participating on the agenda tonight. Everybody, I hope has a copy of our annual report. This year 2014 was an exciting year for O'Brien County Economic Development. We celebrated 25 years of corporation. So what we did is we went through the archives and gathered just a compilation of all the successes and accomplishments we've had. Like I said, it was 1989, and one of our biggest tools in the that we use is our revolving loan fund. And back in 1991 is when the organization started putting together money to create this revolving loan fund. It's kind of exciting to see that because they didn't actually hire their first director until 1997. So this was just a collaboration of the communities working together, which I find just really exciting to see that 25 years ago, O'Brien County's communities were working together, and there are communities yet today trying to form an economic development organization. So kudos to everybody who had the foresight to start working on that 25 years ago. So in 1991, they started putting the money together, and it was in 1993 that they made their first loan. The total pool that they had collected was $60,000. They worked off this county fund until 2005, and those funds were exhausted. So we wrote a grant to the USDA. We received $500,000. Within 1 year, we had those funds lent out. So now we have 2 pools of money that are being lent out and revolved back in. During that time, we have grown that fund to over $2 million. That's in 2014, $2,225,000. Out of that pool of money, $816,000 $860,000 has been for businesses in Sheldon. In 2014, $863,000 was for Sheldon. In 2014, we lent out $816,000. We approved loans in 2014 and ran out of money. So we had to get creative last year to see where we could find the funds. And exciting for us is we found Storm Lake United had a pool of money, $500,000. They had got a grant from the USDA, similar to what we did in 2005. They had not lent that money out. They lent $100,000 out. The rest had been sitting in the pool. So we approached them with the USDA and asked them if we could have the funds, and they gave them to us. They felt they were going to lose the money and have to go back to Washington, so they saw regionally it would be better to keep the funds in Northwest Iowa. So exciting for us, we were able to get those funds and lend them out. Right now, both pools of money are exhausted again, so we're back looking for new resources. I feel confident we'll be able to find them in 2015. So in the meantime, we're working with those two pools, and like I said, that's the greatest tool we have to work with at this time. The next couple of pages I have put together with accomplishments and the things OCDC, items they have been working on. Next week, OCDC will be working with the University of Northern Iowa for a goal-setting session, for the first one they've done in 25 years. Another exciting thing, I think, when you see all the things communities have accomplished, and we'll be conducting our first goal-setting session in 2015. Does anybody have any questions for me at the time? Okay, just a little update on the wind farm. Mid-American Energy hopes to have all the turbines up by the end of this year. Energy is working on phase 2. They're calling it Island 2. They will be working north of Highway 18, and going west. So they are looking at securing easements in that area and moving forward with the second phase of the project. Really what I'd like to say is thank you to the City of Sheldon for being a partner with us. We appreciate your support and contributions to everything we've done.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Kiana.
Thanks, Kiana.
Number 5 on the agenda, presentation from Dave Rock from HTC Communications.
Good afternoon. Scott sent me a list of questions that he wanted to address, and I failed to bring those along. I know right where they are in my desk. Here, but I think we can address it anyhow, because in a roundabout way we're going to get to. I've done extensive research of the franchise agreement. Looked it over carefully. I see, and one of the questions was why the council was not notified about the rate increase that we had last January, whenever it was, I don't even remember. I did not realize, I got to admit, that I was supposed to notify the council. It was an oversight on my part, because when I came on board, we met as a cable commission, of which Frank was a member of, and it was my understanding that that was the communications link between me and this body. And shortly after 1996, when we bought the system, for some reason, the Cable Commission stopped meeting, and I don't know why. And I asked Frank tonight, now right here, I said, why did you ever stop? And he says, I don't know, it just disappeared. So when that happened, I knew I had at least an annual obligation to meet with them. So I called the city and I said, what do you want me to do now? And the response, of which none of you are on the council at that time, and Scott was not here, the response was, well, we'll call you, I guess, if we need something. So ever since that time, there's not been any dialogue between us except on special occasions. I think the Cable Commission is still listed as a viable organization under your city chart of organizations. Obviously, it's defunct. It was an excellent opportunity for me to meet with them because they were kind of the sounding board of the community to come back to me, is what I was looking for. But we no longer had that. So there it went. But it clearly said that I was to give you a 30-day notice. I know that. Most of you, I checked, are our customers, with the exception of maybe one. And we thank you for being a customer and for supporting us. And the City of Sheldon thanks you for supporting them through the franchise fees that we collect. So you're benefiting your own community by being a member or a customer of ours. So in effect, members individually had a notification. We sent out letters at least 30 days in advance to all of the customers. This was a system-wide increase, all 5 communities, and that went to you as well. So some of you were aware of it. If you read the letter, you were aware of it. As specifically to this body, you're correct, I did not. It was an oversight. So I don't know if you have comments about that you want to question me about. I mean, I don't know how much clearer I can make it than that, but that's the way it is. And stop right there and see if there's any questions or comments. Okay. One of the questions also, if I recall, was the justification for the rate increase. And it was substantial, I agree. It was painful, believe me. It was a $5 increase on the rate, cable TV rate, and there was a $5.05 or something like that increase on the off-air surcharge. Now, let me go back just a little bit and give you a little bit of history. The last time we had a cable TV increase was in 2011. Our rate at that time was $38.95. Our programming expenses were $28.78 per subscriber. $28.78, $38.95. So you do the math, it's about $10 for us. The rest is gone. We had a $5 increase on that $38.95, which represents about a 13% increase over 4 years. That's just slightly over 3% a year. Now, I don't know how much the city's water or sewer rates have gone up. I don't know how much insurance rates have gone up or any of that stuff. But 3% a year, you got to admit, is pretty nominal. Now, today's rate that we charge for that same cable service is $43.95. Our cost today is $38.62 for programming. We spend well over $1.2 million a year just paying for programming. And our off-air surcharge is now $9 a month, where in 2011 it was $1. And believe me, I did everything I could to fight this surcharge. I negotiated with every network myself. I didn't hire an attorney or anything like that because I wanted them to tell me how they could justify this. And they said, well, it's worth it. They said it's not worth it. 2 people side by side. One has cable, the other one doesn't. He pays $9 a month to get the off-air. The other guy pays $0. That's discrimination. I just totally disagree with you. Well, I didn't get anywhere. So we take that increase and we pass it along nickel for nickel. We cannot mark that up in any way or we'll be in violation of the FCC. So anybody who's in business knows good and well, if you buy a product for $1 and sell it for $1, you're not going to be in business very long. But that's what the off-air people expect us to do. Excuse me. So there is the justification for the rate increase. Rate increases are always painful. I hate to do them. I just do not like them. That's why I waited so long. It's probably an error on my part. I should have been increasing a little bit every year, and there would not have been any attention drawn to it. But because it was so substantial this year, it drew some attention. Quite frankly, in our office, I asked the gals, I said, you keep track of the number of people that call in and complain about the rate increase. And I think we've had less than a dozen calls. Less than a dozen. And the people who have complained said, well, I guess everything else goes up. I guess you have to go up too. Now, I think at the city level if you've had comments or questions or complaints, I've not heard of them. I think Scott said they've had a couple of people call. I would be glad to have their names and addresses and telephone numbers, and I'd be glad to talk to them like I've done in every one of the other people that had called in and complained. That's my policy. When people have a problem, I call them. I'm kind of shocked that I would call them. I said, why not? I don't need you out there bad-mouthing me. I got to stay in business. So I've tried to contact these people, and like I said, if you've got something, let me know, and I'd be glad to talk to them about it. It's kind of an oxymoron, but the rate increase benefits the city also, because you get 5% off of that $5 as well. So I don't know. I mean, you can obviously see that our margins of $38.95 and $28.78 to $43.95 and $38.62, you can obviously see that our margins have decreased. We're approximately a half. We had about a $10 margin in there in 2011. We have a $5 margin today. That's it. According to our franchise, if the city wants to inspect our books, they can call us and come down anytime they want and inspect them. I'll be glad to show you the books. I'll be glad to show you the programming fees. Anytime. So I don't know where else we want to go with this. Like I said, I was in error in not notifying you of the 30 days. It was an oversight on my part, and I apologize for that. I guarantee you it won't happen again. In fact, we're adding some new channels here come May 1. I called Scott right away, and I sent him a letter or an email, and I said, Scott, we're going to be adding some new channels. No rate increase, but I want to make sure you folks know. Because the way I see it, it says rate increase had to be notified. From now on, I'll notify you whatever we do, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Now, I don't know if I answered all the questions. In a roundabout way, I think I hit on all of them.
I guess I would like to know, is this some of your, I see that HD Construction, I believe that's their name.
Yeah, I'll talk about that too.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I want to know about the construction.
There was,
going
okay,
on.
yeah, if there's no questions about that rate increase, I'd like to move on if I can.
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
How does the FCC get involved in with this rate increase? Do they have to be notified as well?
No.
Okay.
It's a
because the
non-regulated,
basic-
FCC is not involved at all.
Okay.
And I have all the legal information here from our attorney if you're interested. But yeah, no, the FCC is not involved. Now, ever since we bought this system in 1996, we have spent well over $5 or $6 million improving it. It's an ongoing process. It's something that we do almost every year. The biggest thing we did, of course, was we came in and took you. By the way, the franchise calls for a 36-channel cable system. I don't think anybody wants to go back to that. I don't, that's for sure. But we will constantly be changing. The first big improvement we made is we changed it from a 300 megahertz system to an 860 megahertz system, which is just short of 1 gig, which is fantastic, a lot of bandwidth. The other things that we have done is we've split up our nodes so that we can make internet available to everybody. We have started deploying fiber throughout the city. In our most recent project, when we did our fiber to the home project, when we buried all of the rural of Sheldon area with fiber and all of the hospitals exchange, we brought an additional 288 fiber cable all the way around the south side of Sheldon and come in from the east to provide service to the east side of Sheldon. Since that time, we've established a building there on the east side behind IB, I'm sorry.
Fantasia.
Fantasia, to be specific, yes. Okay. And that has now become a fiber hub for us. We bring that 288 fiber in there. And the reason we did this is because we needed a place as a small head end to start deploying fiber to the rest of the Sheldon city. We had that fiber cut last summer, not 2 months after we had it put in. By that time, we had already garnered the service, the Village Northwest as a customer. They were without phone service for about 8 hours while that fiber got replaced and after Mid-American Energy cut it. I decided right then and there, this can't happen again. So now, bring us up to date, 2015. We are burying another fiber from our west building all the way through Sheldon, all the way to our east building with another cable fiber so that if that cable gets cut, it automatically switches to this fiber over here and nobody gets out of service. And the reason we did that is because we got so many people on the east side of Sheldon with our telephone service and internet service. I know internet service is critical to a lot of people, but not as critical as telephone for 911 services. So we had to do something to ensure these people, they had quality service and all the time service. So we are doing that at this time. And I know I've had 3 or 4 people call me about messes that we left in their yards and stuff like that. I've tried to call all of them. One lady did not leave a message. She did give me her address, so I drove by there today. Today, they went back and they did cleanup on all of this area, except at 405 West 7th Street. There's a section of sidewalk missing in there. It's not been repaired yet, but it will be. So I called our guys and I said, get a barricade across there, yellow ribbon or anything you can do to secure that area. So they're supposed to be doing that now. As far as the rest of it's concerned, I've looked over most of it. It has gone very well. I don't think we cut anybody's services. I don't think we hit any water mains. Water lines, did we? Good locating there. But they've done extremely well, and progress is being made. They are in fact, I think they are finished with that phase of it right now. So there'll be the final cleanup. There is one issue that I'd like to raise with you, and that is when there is a public easement in the rear lot lines, and we're supposed to go in there, and we can't get through because they've got buildings, they've got fences. That's an issue. And I know darn good and well we got the right to tear that fence down so we can get through there, but that's not a good public relations thing. But that's something that's got to be addressed at the city level. You've got to enforce that some way or another. It's not good. The area we're in right now, which is behind Lyle's house back in there, if Mid-American Energy has to get in or replace some poles, we're going to have some really unhappy people because they're going to have to go over somebody's lawn, replace a pole. It's not going to be pretty. So, but we've had excellent cooperation between the people along the route. You know, people have called and said, what's going on? And I tell them, they say, oh, okay, good. So that's one project that we are just finishing up. In fact, I talked to the contractor. I think we're making the last bore right under Lyle's bedroom window. And then, that's right. But now I think we're complete with that. Another project that we are doing is we are starting in a project from the village, and we're going west all the way to Oak Street. So everything from Highway 18 north and between Highway 60 and Oak Street is going to be fiber by this fall.
Is the entire town going to be fiber?
Eventually.
Okay.
And it's a good point you bring that up, because along the route, when we did this fiber from west to east, we pulled enough duct. In fact, starting out, we had a pile of ducts like this, about 12 of them, I think. We dropped them off at different places because that's our starting point to go from there on out again. So we don't have to keep going back to the head end every time. So all the main duct to get us out of the head end is in place so we can start deploying from there. Yes, that's our ultimate goal, but cost will make sure that's a long, many year project. But we hope to do something every year. So we are doing that this year, and we are getting a fiber connection to the hospital. We have an overhead fiber connection today. They are interested. They want to change their telephone service over to us, but they said they'd rather wait until we had the underground. And so middle of next week, they're going to have underground up to their building. And we'll have an option, overhead or underground, so we can feed them 2 ways. We've tried to be a good corporate citizen. We've tried to be a community citizen, community-minded. I don't like my lawn messed up anybody else. My city doesn't like their streets and alleys messed up any more than you do. And it's important that we try and maintain that integrity that I think we've worked so hard to gain. And I apologize if there was anything that was done amiss, but if it was done inadvertently. Any questions or comments? Have I satisfied everybody?
I think the biggest thing, Dave, that I perceived was, frankly, the total lack of communication, whether it was on your part or our part. I don't want to point fingers at you or point fingers at us, but we both should have done a better job in terms of knowing what was supposed to be happening and whatnot. When people ask us, we always play ignorant and say, gee, I don't know, I'm going to have to check. and that's the truth.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I'm not, definitely a lack of communications. I mean, I've learned my lesson this time that anything we do in the future, I'm going to send you a letter. I'm going to say, hey, this is what we're going to be doing, just a heads up.
And I think that as a council and future councils, whether it's with the commission or whether it's with the council, I think that the council is the ultimate responsibility, and I think they should be notified.
And I agree. But like I said, I was under the impression it was the Cable Commission. And if you folks want to reinstate it, I would welcome it. I truly would. Nancy Claire was on it, Jim Short, Frank. No, I did know too, but I can't remember right off the
As
hand.
the commission members, good luck.
Yeah. It's probably something we should
Okay.
have, but getting
So
members.
if you're satisfied, if I've answered your questions and you're comfortable with me again, that's fine. I want to keep it that way.
Okay. I have nothing else.
Anybody else have any comments for Dave? Oh, thank you, Dave, for your business and your service to the community. Number 6 on the agenda, public hearing on downtown area resurfacing project. We have a motion to close that public hearing. Or any, I should say, is there any comments to the downtown area resurfacing project? We have a motion to close it.
Motion. Support.
Roll call, please.
All right. Brad,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Okay, then under A, approving the plans and specifications. Scott?
Unless there's any specific comments, it's 5 blocks adjacent to the downtown area. A big portion of it is asphalt overlay, 1,355 tons approximately. About 5,800 square yards of pavement scarification and milling on the project, 172 square yards of sidewalk removal and replacement, and approximately 482 feet of curb and gutter replacement as part of this project.
8th Street, 2nd Avenue, 4th Avenue, 8th Street, 10th Street, 10th Street, 4th Avenue. 5th Avenue. Some of the blocks we are proposing to reshape. For just a quick example, some of them that have W sections we're going to attempt to straight direction.
Any questions, comments? Motion to approve the plans? I'll make the motion to approve the plans and specifications.
Work.
Ron,
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
I keep forgetting there's only 3 of us.
Okay. B,
Sorry.
awarding of the contract. Scott? Yeah, there was that.
Yeah,
somebody
we
said?
did open the bids last week. We received 3 bids on this project, and I'll quickly highlight those. Tri-State Paving out of Esterville had a bid of $291,597. By the way, the engineer's estimate on the construction portion of this was $240,000. Barkley Asphalt out of Sioux City had a bid of $274,443.50. And the low bidder on the project was Knife River Midwest out of Sioux City with a low bid of $226,465.67. It would be our recommendation to award the contract to Knife River Midwest.
Have you had any dealings with them?
We have, yep. They do a lot of asphalt work and stuff in town here. It's usually Knife River and Tri-State usually go back and forth about every other year on price quotes, so good company. Barkley is the only one on the list that we've not worked with probably ever. We're not familiar with them, so.
Motion to approve.
Support. Discussion, roll call.
okay. Ron,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye. Okay. Number 7 on the agenda, consider change order on drainage improvement project. Scott?
Yeah, there's two items as part of this change order that we're proposing to the City Council. One of them is the installation of a drain tile. This would actually be on the east side of the driveway, access driveway off of 16th Street, and running adjacent across that driveway to the drainage way. With some of the shaping and whatnot of that driveway and with the pavement there, we feel it would be beneficial to install an 8-inch tile line that would handle some of the water flow on that end to the drainage way. The cost on that is $3,590. The other improvement of connecting that access onto 16th Street, replace and remove a portion of the concrete on 16th Street to tie that in, would be an additional cost of $7,848.80. So the total change order cost would be $11,438. If there's any specific questions.
We discussed this with Ron Neff, and he is...
Yeah, I actually just had a phone conversation with him yesterday. I talked to him a number of times last fall, and then we were working with the contractor and the engineer to kind of put a plan together. I did talk through it with him again yesterday. He certainly appreciates the council considering with some of the drainage flow off kind of where the backside of his barn is there, and with what the reshaping is. They do have some concerns yet in the ditch, and Todd and I will look at that to make sure that flow hasn't changed. It still flows. There is a drain tile on that side, on the east side of the ditch as well, to handle that water flow. So Ron appreciates the City Council considering this improvement, which is part of the entire project, but also will help with some of the drainage flow on his side of the property.
Can we handle them both in one motion?
Yeah, it's under one change order, so I would recommend doing it in one motion.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Just to point out from a dollars and cents standpoint with these two projects, just to make you aware, the fund balance that we have out of the bond proceeds, plus remaining funds from the Country Club Road East 9th Street project, we had a little over $332,000 left in those funds. So we do have the funds available for our downtown improvement project that we're doing, plus this change order. I'm still estimating we'll have a little over $55,000 balance of those funds, even with these changes.
Discussion? Roll call?
Fred,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Randy.
Aye.
Okay, number 8 on the agenda, consider contract for topical graphic survey in the Sheldon Crossing. Scott?
You see before you proposal from Beck Engineering. This is for the topo survey work as part of the Sheldon Crossing improvements in the community park plan, specifically related to the consideration for the event center, as described on here, the lodge in the Sheldon Crossing area. It's for a lump sum fee price of $4,000. If you recall, as part of, just to clarify where this comes from, if you recall, as part of the discussion with RDG and the preliminary design, the two items that weren't covered as part of their scope of services was the topo survey work, and then the next agenda item is the geotechnical survey work as part of that project.
No, we need it.
I'll make the motion to approve that contract.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please. Oh.
I don't know. I think as a city, we should step back a little bit and slow down on this and see what. And we don't have all the costs involved or anything yet, and I feel that we're moving way too fast. I think we need to step back and take a breath, so to speak, on this project.
I wouldn't argue with that, other than I would say this: I think in order to give you what you want, you're going to need this information. Is that not true, Scott?
Well, I know some of the conversation's been in regards to getting to that next step. You know, we keep talking about the next step. And we're going to get in that. And we've been talking about the last few months with this community park plan that's been developed. A lot of people are getting stuck on, one, the facility that's been proposed as part of that master plan, the square footage, the size of the facility. That's a master plan that RDG put together. I think in order to go to the step that we keep talking about of what is this facility actually going to look like, whether from a size standpoint, a square footage standpoint, how many is going to seat, what is that actual cost going to be. Fortunate, unfortunate, I think we need to get to and through the preliminary design phase of it. Now, the big question, that I pose is if basically, are we interested in building that type facility? If the answer is yes, and we have concerns about the operations, which I've shared very clearly that I have concerns about the operations too and how that's going to work out, or we're not sure yet whether we need to build a facility or not, that's a whole different question. But if we're on board and we think the facility is the right thing for this community, I think the next step of the preliminary design, which includes these two items, we have to get to that point to figure out the operations, the upkeep, the size of the facility, how it's going to look, the square footage, all those type items, I think, come to the next phase. So, I mean, that's the question the council needs to answer is, yes, is it the facility, or no, we're not sure about even building such a facility. I'm not questioning, on it, but just if the council is supportive of, hey, this is, we think a facility, I know comments been made already, well, $4.5 million facility, can't we build a nice facility for $2.5–3 million, still house 400 people in it? And yeah, I think those are discussions, conversations we can have, but the master plan, and Mike's not in here right now, but RDG isn't going to, for $27,000, we're not going to get that. Speaking of Mike, Bill. So, anyway, I don't know what other thoughts that anybody has, or they agree with that? Is that kind of the concern of, is it a facility that's the right direction we need to go, or
I think this
we're
is
not sure about the facility yet?
I think this is the direction we got to go to find out what that number is.
We have to keep progressing in order to get the definitive answers we want. And if we are worried about the operations, we're sure going to have to show somebody definitively that we're serious in this in order to get them to commit. Or else they aren't going to take us serious at all. Yeah, it's a big number to keep throwing at it, but until we do, we won't.
And I'm the same way. I mean, these costs, okay, not a big cost, but the preliminary design costs, $140,000, $150,000. I would wholeheartedly agree. If we're not on board with building that building yet, I strongly urge us not to proceed through that step. But now, if the building, we're on board, we need to have a building on that location, that's what we want to pursue. I think we need to move through that process and step to get to that point, to figure out an operational agreement, who's going to operate it, how big it's going to be, and all those other elements as well. So is that kind of
Well,
kind of your concerns,
Rock Rapids right now is dealing with the Iowa Extension Office. They get students from Iowa State, seniors that are dealing with this, to come in, and they do a preliminary study. They have figures and stuff, and it's no cost to the city.
I have no idea what that project is.
I just, have we checked with them? Is there a way, to save us money?
I guess nobody's ever made me aware of what Rock Rapids is doing. What with Iowa State?
With the Iowa Extension Office, dealing with Iowa State.
What did they put together?
They're doing some study. I don't know what project it is, what they're building over there, but.
Well, Mike, are you familiar with Iowa State Extension and what they do? Or I know we did. I know.
We have an Iowa State Extension person for Central Iowa in our office. I don't know what they're doing on that project. Typically, they do commissioning projects. You have to be a registered architect perform architecture in the state, you have to be a registered civil engineer. We do civil engineering in the state. So if you're asking somebody to do design work for a facility, maybe Iowa State has registered architects that work with students to develop facilities. I'm not aware of that.
I mean, I'm not saying develop the facility itself, but they give preliminary numbers. I don't know. I mean, it's just a question I'm asking.
Okay.
I mean, it's something to check into.
Yep. Yep.
So I don't mean to jump in here, something I'm talking about. I'm curious, the number that you're looking for is the number to construct the facility or to operate and manage the facility?
I'm looking for both. Is what I'm looking for. But it's just a question I had.
Further discussion? No, I'll entertain a roll call. Because we had a motion and a second to approve the contract. Yeah, we did. I seconded it. And I think Zach made the motion. Yeah, I made the motion, he seconded
Okay.
it.
All right, Ron,
All right.
Zach,
Aye.
Fred,
Aye.
Randy.
No.
Okay.
Okay, number 9 on the agenda, consider contract for geotechnical survey and the Sheldon Crossing. Scott?
Kind of the same, similar to what we just talked about with Beck Engineering. This is the geotechnical survey with certified testing services. This is in regards to the Sheldon Crossing area. The lump sum fee amount on this is $2,400.
Ron?
Support?
Support. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Fred,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Randy.
No.
Okay, number 30, comments. Todd? Lyle? Zach? Micah? Scott?
I have nothing additional. No.
Randy?
Still running the street sweeper?
I just urge citizens to watch since the weather's getting nice. Watch out for the kids going to school and from school, and as we're getting active for the summer months.
Anything else? Make the motion to adjourn? Or roll call, please.
Zach,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
Fred.
Aye.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we can stay as a council. Is this going to be